Welcome to the Lost Artistry Lash YouTube channel. My name's Kaitlyn Elford. I'm the owner and lead educator here at Lost Artistry. If you're new to our channel, be sure to ring the bell and subscribe so that you're not missing out on any of our educational lash videos. In today's video, I'm going to run you through all of my personal tips and tricks on how I perform a hybrid set from start to finish. Let's dive in. Today I'm going to run you through my full assessment on my model. So we're going to run through which diameter lashes would suit her natural lash health, as well as which dimension I would choose if doing volume. And then we're also going to run through her eye shape and which mapping style would best suit her. And then we're also going to run through her natural lash curls. So we're going to decide which style of lash would suit her perfectly in order to keep her lashes as healthy as possible. The first thing I'm looking for is, do we need to cleanse our client's lashes before? So just looking at our model's eye, I can see that there's a little bit of makeup residue left over. This is super common. So even if someone cleanses their lashes every single day, every single night, it's really hard to get all the way to the root. But as you know, as a lash artist, we need to get as close to that lash line as possible in order to have really good retention. And if we're attaching our extensions to makeup or debris, then unfortunately we're not going to get the retention that we're looking for. We need a perfect bond between the extension and the natural lash in order for them to last super well. So the first thing I'm going to do, just because I do see a little bit of makeup, is give them a lash bath. A lot of people ask, can I just prime instead? But unfortunately, primer is meant to really give that connection, that magnetic bond between the natural lash and the extensions, but it won't actually clean the makeup off of the skin. So that's what we need the cleanser for. So once the eyes are cleaned, I'm ready to really get in there and take a look at the lashes. So let's look from the side for this step. So let's look at the lift of the natural lashes. She has so much lift to her natural lashes already, on the bottom layer, on the middle layer, and on the top layer. And actually, she has quite a few layers. In most areas, she has about 4 layers, so I know I can get some darkness out of her set, even though her lashes are definitely on the finer side. And we're not looking for lift because she already has so much of that naturally. So now let's look at the space between her lash line and her eyebrow. Does she have a lot of space to fill? This is where we decide which lengths we're going to choose. So as you can see, you can clearly see the lift on her natural lashes here, which is great. And then let's look at the space. There's really not a lot of space between her lash line and her eyebrow. So we wouldn't want to go for really long lengths because we wouldn't want to hit the brow bone up here. And same with curls. So since she already has a lot of curl, if we were to do a really dramatic curl, we would also worry about lifting the lashes so much that they would hit the skin or bone above the lid. So we want to avoid that. So what I'm going to work on today, I'm going to be using a C curl, and then I'm going to be going from lengths, I would say 7 millimeters up to 12 millimeters being my max. And then we can always go more later if we choose, but we're going to work with that today because I feel like that's a great, perfect in between when it comes to lash length and curl. Now, when I'm focusing on diameter, when I'm choosing the diameter or dimension that I'm going to use, what I like to do is put the pads on first, and then I can get a really good view of the natural lash health and strength to choose which diameter and dimension I'm going to be using. And today, I'm actually going to be working with diameter and dimension, which is great for this example because I'm doing a hybrid set, so 50% volume, 50% classics. So today I'm working with our Lost Artistry Lash Ultra Line tweezers. I'm working with our Sunset tweezer. This is the one that I love for isolation because it has a fine tip and that gives me precision for when I'm really isolating the lashes. And the curvature is amazing because it helps my wrist health. And then I'm also working with our Crane tweezer. So I'm going to be picking up my classics with this tweezer. Just a preference. And when I'm checking out to see which diameter or dimension I'm choosing, I'm going to just go through and look at a few lashes. So I'm going to pick out one of the weaker lashes and see how weak they are. So for this lash here, it's fairly fine. So she has quite a few of those throughout. So I'm going to go in with a 0.12 for my classics on the finer lashes like this guy right here. I'm going to section those guys out and put 0.12 classics on there. And then for the super healthy ones, like this one here, I'm going to be working with a 0.15, which is the universal diameter. So 0.15 is good for almost every client. And I think that'll be more than enough for her. So we're gonna be working with a mix of 0.15s and 0.12s for classics. And then we are going for a more natural result today. So I'm gonna be working with 0.07 diameter pro fans. And I'll be working with 3 to 4D only. And all of her lashes can hold this. So on the finer lashes, as I've shown, the ones that can hold the 0.12s, I'm gonna be working with a 3D. And then on the thicker, more strong lashes, I'll be working with a 4D. If I were going for a mega volume, I would work with 0.03s, and I would check out this chart to do my assessment. So I always look at this chart. It is amazing. You can do your classic assessment and then know exactly which diameter and dimension you could use for volume, mega volume, absolutely any style. So that's what we'll be doing today. Our next step is figuring out our mapping. So I'm gonna be working with a mix of an open eye and squirrel eye. So my longest length, my emphasis area, will be somewhere just off center, the middle of the eye. So you can see my section is here. And my emphasis area is always my biggest section. So that's where my 12 millimeters are gonna go. And then from there, I'm gonna scooch down from 7 millimeters and then back down to 10 on the opposite corner. So today I'm going to be working with a feathering technique. And what feathering means is that I'm going to mix shorter lengths in my longer length section. So even in my 12 millimeter section, I haven't written this down, but I'm going to put 11s and 10s in that section as well. And that offers the nicest grow out and just a really nice fine texture. So before we began this appointment, I showed Loren different types of lash sets, and she chose a more wispy look as her preferred look. So that's where feathering comes in really nicely. So you can add lots of different lengths between your longer length sections for a nice wispy effect, and it just grows out so wonderfully. So that's what we're gonna be doing today, and I think it's gonna look really nice on her. And then when I'm doing my hybrid sets, I'm gonna really plan out my set. So 50% of a hybrid set is volume lashes and 50% is classic lashes. But I do have a trick. So if I apply my classic lashes first, then I find it is so much easier to apply my volume lashes because my classics are much easier to isolate for wider fans if I've already placed my classic lashes. So it'll help a lot with isolation. And in order to gain balance between the eyes, I work back and forth from eye to eye, in the same spot on either eye with the exact same length and the exact same curl, in the exact same spot to make sure that the eyes are well balanced. So I'm first gonna go in with my classics, and then later, when I know I'm 50% done my set, I'm gonna go in with my volumes. So you're gonna space them out so you have room to put your volumes in afterwards. And when you're doing hybrids, you don't have to work with classic lashes per se. You can totally work with flat lashes as well. Any form of classics, and flats definitely fall under the category of classic lashes. They actually just offer 40% less weight than a standard classic lash. So let's say that your client wants a darker hybrid set or a classic set, but you know that their lashes can't handle a higher diameter. Then flat lashes are a really, really great option because they do offer 40% less weight and a darker result. So it's a really good idea to have those on hand. And again, for hybrids, you can mix classics or flats for your classic option, and then 50% volume fans. And when it comes to what's recommended for hybrid lashes, when we're talking dimension, we're gonna usually work somewhere between 2 and 60, which is considered a volume fan. And for classics, you can work with absolutely any diameter. So if your client wants a really light finish, you can always bump down your diameter or dimension. And if your client wants a really dark finish, you can always bump it up, obviously depending on the strength of their natural lashes. So what I'm doing first is working eye to eye so that I can balance them out, and I'm building the shape. So once my shape is built, then the lash set will look good no matter what. It's a really good trick to have in your back pocket because if you run out of time, at least you know that no matter what, your set will look good and finished, even if it's not 100% covered.
Very special, really and truly, got somebody.
Our classics have been applied and our shape is clearly coming in nicely. And now what I have left to do is to fill the rest of the 50% of the lashes in with Pro Fans. So I'm going to be working with 3D and 4D Pro Fans, as I've already discussed. I'm going to work with mainly 3Ds on the inner and outer corner because her lashes are quite a bit finer in there. Actually, that's super common for anyone's lashes, that the inner and outer corners will be more fine. So I'm going to work with 3D in there, and then, as I've said before, just alternating back and forth using 4D on my stronger lashes and 3D on my weaker lashes. Can't wait to see what it looks like. And I also just want to quickly show you how I place my extension. So how I build that shape and why I do so in such a pattern. So normally what I'll do, for a full set at least, for fills it's a little bit different, but for a full set, I'll place my first lash on the inner corner, and if another lash isolates itself, you can get that one too for sure. I always take advantage of that when it happens. And then I'm gonna move to the opposite eye and apply the exact same lash extension on the opposite eye. And then from there, I'm gonna move as far away from that lash as I can. I'm gonna go right to the outer corners. Place the lash there. And then from there, I'm gonna place one in the middle. And then from there, I'm just gonna keep going back and forth in between the lashes that I've already applied, just spacing them out enough that we're really covering the entire eye, not just doing one section at a time. So that's a nice trick for hybrids. That way then we know that the eyes are always balanced and fully covered from corner to corner. Finished our hybrid set, I would love to hear what you think. So please be sure to leave a comment below, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Before I let you go today, I do want to just run through a couple hybrid questions that were commonly asked. So first thing is, how much do I charge for hybrid lashes? So pricing is always up to you. You can make your price whatever you want, and please do know that it does vary from city to city and town to town. So just maybe look in your area and see what other people are charging, but commonly, hybrid sets are charged perfectly in the middle of a classic lash set and a volume lash set. So here at our salon in Victoria, BC, we charge $110 for a classic full set and $55 for a fill. And then for hybrids, we charge $145 for a full set and $75 for a fill, and then for our volumes, it's $180 and $90 for a fill. So that's just something to go off if you're not 100% sure how to charge for your set. Next question is, do I have to style my hybrid sets differently? Like, is there mapping specific to hybrids? The answer is absolutely not. Same styling can go for classic, volume, hybrid, and every type of lash set. So you don't have to worry too much about your mapping. Obviously, you can switch it up however you want. There's really no rules when it comes to mapping. Can I use pre-fans, or do I have to use handmade fans for hybrid sets? The truth is, you can use absolutely any form of volume fan that you want. neither is cheating. So some people do think, well, if I'm using pre-fans, I'm kind of cheating if I'm not making my fans. That is not the case. Volume is volume, and there's tons of skill associated with any type of volume. So totally up to you if you want to use pre-fan or handmade volume. The option is yours. So that leads me to, do I have to charge more for handmade volume than pre-fan or vice versa? The answer is no. You should be charging the same no matter which type of volume fan you use, whether it's built on your own or using pre-fans.